Hello, everybody. We're ready to move on to the next step. By now, you should have completed your abstraction. You started out with a found object. You spent some time doing a study of that found object. And then from that found object, you've created a new image, a new abstracted image, right? You've changed it, you've modified it, you've improved it. You are showing the viewer exactly what you find interesting about that. You're making it a simpler, more elegant version of itself. All right, so this image started out life as the seashell, and it may not be the most creative, most interesting, most exciting image I've ever made in my life, but it has a lot of value in that it's done. I'm finished, yay. So I'm ready to move on to the next part, and the next part is transferring the likeness of this image to my foam in preparation for making a carving. All right, so if you remember back before when we made another video about gluing two pieces of foam together, this is the result of that. I now have two chunks of foam that are firmly turned into one piece. So what I need to do is I need to transfer this image onto this foam. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start out with a piece of paper, and I'm simply going to draw the image of the foam blocks onto the paper. And I'm going to do it to scale, right? You can see that this is the right size. It's got the exact same height, the exact same width. In fact, all I did was lay this on the paper, put my foam down, and I traced around it. So now I have a two-dimensional drawing of the front view of the foam. All right. Now that I have that block, I need to think about how I'm going to orient this object in that block. So I know this is an in the round piece, right? It's fully in the round, which means it should be interesting from all views. Not only should it be interesting from all views, but the piece itself should help the viewer move around and draw the viewer to other views. So it is an in the round image, but I have to, for the sake of figuring out how I'm going to orient the image within the block, I have to decide what front is going to be. So it's almost an arbitrary decision, but I'm going to pick a view that seems pretty square to the picture plane, right? One that I know I can repeat. And so I've chosen this as my front view. So if I have a front view, it makes sense that I can turn it 90 degrees and have a side view as well. So the side view may come in, may be valuable a little on down the line. But for now, I mostly am interested in this front view. All right, so now that I have my piece oriented to its front, and I know that I'm going to call this the front of my blocks, right? You can see that that's a side, that's a top, and that's the front. And I've now drawn a two-dimensional image of my blocks. Now it's time to draw this image in this space, and you want it to fit as perfectly as possible. All right, so I don't want to waste any of the material at the top, and I don't want to waste any material at the bottom. I don't want to waste as little material as on the sides. So I'm going to draw this thing to fit my box, right? It may be different in size from this. Now these happen to be real similar in size, but yours may not be. This piece of your piece may be bigger or it may be smaller, but you want to use up all the block that you can. You want to make this piece as big as you can without changing its proportions. So you can see that I've made a drawing that's going to be a little bit bigger than the real life object. And you can see that that it fits within my blocks. All right. Now I want to show you something. Let's take a look at this drawing for a minute. This drawing is different in that I've toned the background. And this is a really important thing. And if you look, you can see that there's no part of the sculpture in this space. There's no part of the sculpture in this space, or this space, or this space. And that might seem ridiculously, stupidly obvious, and it is. But later, when you start carving and you are taking material away, and this object is trapped inside your foam block and you can't see it, and you have no idea where to take material away from and where not to take material away from, remembering this is going to be helpful to you. All right, so it seems terrifically obvious on paper, but when we turn it into 3 dimensions and we cover our image up with more material, that has yet to be carved away, you're going to need a roadmap, and this is going to help. All right? All right. So once I've taken this and I have made my drawing, I'm going to spend a minute and I'm going to cut it out with a pair of scissors. Once I've cut it out with a pair of scissors, I'm going to place it on my block. Now, I happen to use a spray adhesive. I sprayed a little bit of spray adhesive on the paper and stuck it on. All right, if you don't have spray adhesive, that's fine. Just take little pieces of tape. Remember when you were in 3rd grade and you wanted to stick the great drawing you made on your refrigerator? You just took little pieces of tape and turned them into little loops, and you put them on the back of the drawing and plastered the drawing on your refrigerator, and then your mom came home and pretended she liked it. So you're going to do the same exact thing, and you're going to plaster this image on top of my phone. Now, I'm going to repeat myself here. There is none of my object anywhere in these toned areas. So when I start carving, I can remove all this material straight back. And I'm going to do that in a few minutes in my next video. But remember, when we're carving, it's going to be a lot more confusing and you're going to feel a lot more lost. But just have faith that there's nothing in those toned areas. All right, that's it for now.